I'm a very active femdom, and I like to meet new people and experience new subs. So I tend to go on a lot of first meets. Sometimes I take men out on dates. Sometimes they ask me for coffee. Sometimes we meet up at a bar. And sometimes we arrange to meet at a BDSM club. It is quite usual for Domina to line up several men to meet in a BDSM event just to kill 5 birds with one stone. So this is one story that happened just 2 weeks ago. And I find that the dates that I go on are not about just sitting and talking. They're actually about exploring each other. And I love to do that through exploring the city. And it's quite amazing because I live in Madrid and a lot of Spanish don't know much about their own city. In fact, being an international, I feel like I know more unique places and sites and clubs and restaurants than the Spanish actually do. So on Saturday, I decided to go out to coffee with a sub that I have known for about a year, but I only met him once at the very beginning. And it was a very kinky night. We were in a dungeon. And then after that, I never saw him again. And so he reached out to me a year later. And, I liked him enough to have another coffee meet so we can get to know each other on a personal level. So after coffee, I felt that our conversation wasn't over. So I asked him to go on a walk with me through the city. And I walked him down to a plaza and through the gardens and to the palace where we watched the sunset together. And after watching the sunset at the palace with this sub, he told me about Madrid's monument to Satan. Holy fuck. Inaugurated in 1885. This is the place I had to take him next. I walked him through Madrid's soul to get him to the city's Retiro Park. Twilight had sunk into the night and we went in through the steel gates as most people were walking out because of the darkness. Taking a right, I led the boy onto a path with lanterns lighting our way. Then I turned us into the darkness. The trees were tall and overhanging, and we could barely see the sky. Then I turned us towards the cruising gardens. Black, masculine figures, protecting their faces with caps and hoodies, were slowly walking past us. Some stepped out from the bushes over the fences to us, and others gathered in groups in the quadrants, touching and sucking and fucking. All I could barely see of them were their white pants or shoes or shirts moving in the darkness. Surrounding us were whispers of men negotiating sex, and even though the boy focused on looking forward, I would tell him of the men checking him out, that he better be careful. I could so easily throw him into a garden to let the hordes take him, but not to worry. The men would not come for him if he stayed close to me. So he held onto my arm like a mademoiselle who needed protection. I laughed at him, and he laughed because of embarrassment. Continuing onto the lights, we reached Satan, and oh my God, I realized that I had passed him nearly every single day I had been living in Madrid and didn't even know it. Apparently, the monument to Satan created outrage because he was too sexy. He didn't match the Christian ideals of an ugly persona. And yes, he could well pass for a very handsome David. But I dragged the sub there for only one purpose: to take a picture of Satan's ass. I was disappointed that he didn't have a bubble butt, but he is sitting on what looks like Medusa's head, full of snakes. However, the face is very masked, so is it Medusa or perhaps God himself. Perhaps it is an attempt by the sculptor to contrast the nuances of revenge between the hideousness of female jealousy of her own and that of tragic beauty of being a sacrificial angel needed to validate a Christian God. But I got the R shot, and I was satisfied. You're listening to The Mistress Code. I'm RacyWilde.